Hey YouTube yogis, Lauren here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're doing really well. Today I have a very beginner friendly class for you because I feel like I haven't recorded a beginner's class in a while. So here we are. Within this class there's lots of opportunity to take it nice and easy, or you can work towards a deep stretch if that's where you want to go today. So as always, there's plenty of options, there's plenty of ways we can tailor the practice to suit however we're feeling in this moment and make the practice what you need it to be today, okay? You may want to have a couple of blocks, but again, I understand if you are a beginner watching this, you may not have this type of equipment, but feel free to improvise. Anything that's kind of block shaped, anything that's going to give you a little bit of support underneath the hand will work absolutely fine. You could also use cushions or books or boxes. And also, you don't really need to use them at all. If you want to see how you go without the props, you can, but they are a really great way just to help us find certain shapes and help tailor the pose to suit your body rather than kind of tailoring the body to suit the pose, okay? So if you have blocks, feel free to grab them, just have them by the side of your mat, but again, if not, no worries. Then let's come on down to seated. So any kind of easy seat for you today. Might be cross-legged, might be kneeling, you might prefer to have the legs extended, perhaps the knees slightly bent, anything that allows us to sit up fairly tall and be fairly comfortable with where we are, okay? Beautiful. So I'm going to take an easy cross today. Maybe the palms of the hands land upon the knees. Take a moment to slide those shoulders down and away from those ears, really noticing that tall spine today. And if it feels comfortable for you to do so, closing off the eyes, closing off the outside world. We take a few moments just to simply arrive here. So notice how you feel as you arrive into your practice, arrive onto the mat. Reminding ourselves that there's no need to be here and feel a specific way or act a specific way. However you come to this moment is enough. Know that whatever you experience right now is okay. It was meant to be. And maybe with that little reminder, allow ourselves just to soften that a little bit. Finding perhaps a little bit more ease here. And it can take a while to find, so no worries if we've still got that monkey mind going on, if we feel like our thoughts are pulling us in many different directions. And maybe if that's the case, we come to the breath. We can really utilize the breath as our anchor. Noticing every inhale, how that air travels in through the nose, fills up the lungs. And notice every exhale. Perhaps even a gentle sigh if you wish. So again, use the breath to anchor yourself into this moment. Notice how it feels. Notice the quality, the texture, the pace of your breath, without needing to shape the breath to be anything particular just yet. Just let it ebb and flow of its own natural accord. And then gradually over time, we're going to see if we can slow the breath down a little bit. So we're actually going to start to count our inhales and our exhales. So when you next breathe in, let's see if we can breathe in for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhale for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Just keeping that going a couple of times. Breathing in, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing out, 4, 3, 2, 1. And maybe finding that kind of steady beat, that inner rhythm, continuing those counts running through your mind. You can slow them down a little bit or maybe speed them up if it feels a little bit too slow for you today. And just keep repeating it, and gradually we find that we really sink into this rhythm. this gentle pace. And this is going to kind of set the tone for our practice today. So no need to rush, no pressure. Just moving one breath at a time. You might even find that you can increase that count to 6 or maybe even 8. But again, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that we're taking the time to slow things down a little. And by slowing the breath down, do we notice we breathe in that little bit more deeply? We feel the ribcage expand, the chest rise as the lungs inflate. And as that slow, steady exhale, there's that deeper sense of release maybe. So keep that going for about 3 more rounds of breath. Steadily counting in your mind, finding your own inner rhythm today. And as you finish that final exhale, you can let go of that count, but maybe that slowness or steadiness remains. Beautiful. And keeping this steady pace that we found, we might start to gently flutter the eyelids open. Welcome yourselves back into a yoga space today. Just start to have a little bit of movement through the torso. So it might be kind of a little wriggle through shoulders. Maybe it's a tick-tock of the head from side to side. We've been sat for quite a little bit of time here, so our spines might be getting a little bit achy. So yeah, feel free to have that little wriggle. Doesn't need to look like anything in particular. Notice how the body feels as we start to physically move it around. Okay. Take another slow, steady breath in. Slow, steady breath out. Beautiful. Let's take our first big stretch. So we inhale, we're going to sweep the arms all the way up, growing tall, energy reaching out through the fingertips. And as we exhale, we're going to bring that right hand down, left arm reaches up and over. Perhaps we soften through the elbow slightly, maybe creeping the fingertips out a little bit further away. Thinking about lengthening through the side body. So you might roll the left shoulder back slightly. You might even look underneath that left arm. Just take a slow, steady breath in. And a slow, steady breath out. As we breathe in, let's rise all the way up through the center. We're just going to drift across to the side. Left hand lands, right arm up and over. And again, we can roll that right shoulder back, look underneath the right arm. Keep pinning this right hip down towards the ground. So it's like we're pulling the body in 2 different directions. Right hip goes down, right fingertips reach up. Take a deep breath. And an exhale. Beautiful. Let's inhale to rise. Just bring the fingertips down by your sides. Take a breath. Lead up, lifting up through the heart space. And as we exhale, let's start to melt the heart forwards. Maybe sweep the fingertips out in front, soften through the elbows, and take a little forward fold here. So you might feel a little stretch through the outside of the hips, maybe. Okay. Lovely. No worries if the forearms don't quite touch down to the ground. Just soften into the forward. So it's not about how far we go. Just again, seeing what our experience is in every shape we take today. You can let the head hang heavy slightly. Let the shoulders roll forwards. Can we still feel our sit bones rooting down to the ground here? Beautiful. Take a deep breath. And an exhale. Beautiful. As we inhale, we're going to stay in the fold, but lift the chest slightly. Maybe we can creep the fingertips a little bit further away. And let's start to walk the fingertips round to the right hand side. So stretching the fingertips as far away as feels comfortable, sending the armpits down towards the ground. And you might be able to kind of rest the forehead on this right knee, or maybe it's the chin. If there's a little bit of distance, again, no worries. Just stretching the fingertips away, noticing the stretch through, again, the side body. Beautiful. Take a breath. Take an exhale. As we inhale, again, we rise up just slightly without completely coming out of the fold. Creep the fingertips back through center. And let's take it across to the left. So stretching the fingertips away as far as feels comfortable. As we reach to the left, maybe think about pressing the right armpit down. Beautiful. And again, maybe forehead lands on the left knee, or it might be the chin. Feel the stretch and send the breath to that place, encouraging that light, that spaciousness. One more inhale. And one more exhale. And then as we inhale, let's softly walk the fingertips back through center, again lifting up through the heart slightly. As we fold through the center, maybe there's that little bit more space to go. Maybe we find we can soften just that little bit more. Lovely. Okay. Inhale, creep the fingertips back in, roll it through the spine, gently rise. Okay. And then from here, if you're sitting cross-legged like I am, take a moment to lean into the hands. You're going to swap the cross of the legs, so changing the legs over. It might feel like the weird way of crossing the legs. Sometimes it feels a little bit unnatural, okay? And then from here, again, growing tall through the spine, you're just going to bring your left hand towards your right knee. Right hand is going to come to the ground back behind you. Take a little twist towards the right hand side. Beautiful. We don't need to think about pushing this left hand too harshly into the knee to really force the body round into the twist. It's just this gentle spiraling around. Beautiful. Take a breath. Take an exhale. Okay. Deep breath in, let's come through the center, and we're just going to change sides. Right hand to the left knee, left hand reaching to the ground back behind you. We simply twist the other way. One side might feel different compared to the other. It's all good. Slow, steady breath in. Slow, steady breath out. Let's inhale to come back through the center. Fingertips again down by your sides. Grow tall through the spine. And then as we exhale, let's start to hinge at the hips, maybe reaching the fingertips forwards. And again, we come into that forward fold. Now with the legs crossed the other way, there might be different sensations here. We might be met with a little bit of resistance perhaps. Maybe we notice tension in the body that we hadn't quite noticed before. And again, whatever we find here, let's see if we can embrace it all. So rather than wishing the resistance wasn't there or wishing that the tension would simply go away, meet it and embrace it. Beautiful. Take another breath in here. And a breath out. As we inhale, let's push down through the fingertips slightly. Lift the chest up slightly without completely coming out of the fold. Let's walk the fingertips to the left-hand side this time. So exactly the same. Reaching the fingertips as far away as feels comfortable. Pressing right armpit down and fold. Maybe forehead lands on the left knee. Beautiful, well done. Take a breath. And take an exhale. Inhale, rising up slowly. Creep the fingertips back through the center and we take it across to the right. So exactly the same. Lovely. Folding down. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Let's inhale. Lifting up slowly, let's come back through the center, back into that fold. Is that resistance still there, or maybe it softens slightly? No worries if it is still there. Again, we can still embrace it. Take a deep breath in. And take a deep breath out. And then as we inhale, let's softly start to walk the fingertips back towards us, rolling on up through the spine. Okay. We might take a moment to lean into the hands, uncross the legs, stretch the legs out in front for a moment, and just have a little wriggle of the toes, okay? So I sometimes find by having the legs crossed for an extended period of time, I get this little pins and needles sensation in my toes. So that might be the case for you as well. So again, just nice to bring a little bit of movement back there, okay? You could also have a little roll of the wrists as well if there's tension there. And then from here, let's just lean to one side, swing the ankles around to one side, and you're going to come into your little tabletop position. So let's bring the wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, finding a fairly neutral spine first of all. We're going to move through a little bit of cat and cow. So as we inhale, let's softly glide the belly down, lift it through head and heart, lift the tailbone up to the sky, gaze ahead. And then as we exhale, we round through the back. So we tuck the chin towards the chest. We tuck the tailbone under, maybe looking back towards our knees here. And we go again. Inhale, looking forwards. Exhale, rounding through the back. We might even be able to find that rhythm of our breath again. So using that count of 4 for your inhale to steadily rise. And that count of 4 in your exhale to slowly curve through the spine. Lovely. So again, this movement doesn't need to be particularly fast today. Maybe by slowing things down, there's more we can notice here. Okay. Let's take one more full round. One more inhale, softly rising on up. One more exhale through our curve. And then from here, untucking the toes, big toes come together to touch. Softly melt our hips back towards our heels. You might want to separate the knees slightly. Let's melt it back into a little child's pose. Beautiful. So continuing to reach the fingertips forwards, maybe the forehead meets the mat. If the forehead feels like it's hovering, again, this might be a place where we bring a block in or a cushion, placing it underneath the forehead just so we can release through the back of the neck. Beautiful. And again, there's that sensation of the body being pulled in 2 different directions. Hips melting back towards the feet. Fingertips reaching forwards towards the top of the mat. Let's take one more breath here. One more exhale. Beautiful. We're going to find a little bit more fluidity with the spine. So if you're using a cushion or a block underneath the head, let's maybe place that to one side now. Now, as you rise up out of your child's pose, we're going to push the ground away. We're going to rise up through that curved spine. So tuck the chin towards the chest, tuck the tailbone under. Start to shift the weight forwards towards your fingertips. And then we softly begin to melt the hips down towards the mat. Soften through the elbows as much as you wish to come into this little heart opener. So it doesn't need to be a super deep back bend here. We don't need to worry about keeping the arms long. Soften through the elbows as much as you need. Squeeze the shoulder blades back behind you. Lovely. Take a breath. And take an exhale. Now from here, we reverse the way we came in. So we tuck the chin towards the chest. We strongly push the ground away. Can we find that rounded spine again? So looking back towards your knees. Big toes come together to touch. Melting our hips back towards our heels. And we come back into that child's pose. Beautiful. Not staying here for too long this time. Let's keep that movement going. So again, as we inhale, we rise. Tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. Curved spine. And then we keep shifting the weight forwards, melt the hips down towards the mat. Soften through the elbows as much as we wish to come into that beautiful heart opener. Lovely, deep breath in. Exhale, tuck the chin, push the ground away. Lovely, rise up, curved spine, looking back towards your knees. And hips back towards the heels, child's pose. We're going to go one more time. Inhale, let's rise up, curved spine. Okay. Shift the weight forwards, melt the hips down towards the mat. We might start to rise up to a slightly deeper back bend here, your choice. And then as we exhale, let's tuck the chin. Let's just come back into our tabletop from here. So you might need to kind of shuffle the knees back underneath the hips, and again, you've got those wrists underneath the shoulders. Let's tuck all 10 toes under. Take a breath. As you exhale, press your hips back towards the heels. Again, very similar to like we come into our child's pose. But then we're going to get a little bit active through the hands and the feet. So we're going to push the ground away, lift the knees, lift the hips, keeping that close proximity between your belly and your thighs. Beautiful. So we find this upside down V shape where the hips go high. Lovely. Pressing down through all 10 fingertips. Doesn't matter if the heels of the feet are lifted or maybe they're pressing down towards the mat. You can have a little bit of movement through the feet here or through the legs. You might bend through one knee, then the other. Have a little sway of the hips from side to side perhaps. Take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. Now as we inhale, let's look forwards towards our fingertips, bend the knees, and let's gently make our way towards the top of the mat. So you're going to gently walk the feet all the way towards our hands, nice and easy. Okay, coming into that forward fold. Let's hang heavy here. So we've got all 10 toes pointing forwards, feet underneath the hips, so the legs are our strong foundation here, allowing the upper body to just melt over the legs here. So you might sway from side to side, letting the fingertips gently drag along the mat, or you might prefer to take hold of opposite elbows, hang heavy, take a breath, and take an exhale. Now as we inhale, take a deep bend through the knees. We're going to tuck the tailbone under, and we're going to softly rise up bone by bone. Lovely. Gently coming all the way up to standing, and as you get there, head is the final thing to lift. Let's take a little shoulder roll as we get to the top. Deep breath in. Exhale, deep breath out. Okay, we're going to softly make our way down through a little vinyasa. So inhale, let's sweep the arms up, grow tall. You might look up towards the fingertips here. Now as you exhale, dive it down, hips go back, heart reaches forwards, back into that fold. Second time in this fold, so there might be a little bit more space to go. Let's inhale, take a halfway lift. So we bring our fingertips to the shins, rise up, finding this flat back. So you think about sending the tailbone back, crown of the head reaching forwards. Exhale, soften back into the fold. Beautiful. Bend the knees so much so that the hands can come flat down to the ground. We're going to step one foot back, then the other, finding our plank pose. So not our downward facing dog just yet. We've got this long line throughout the body. Little bit of strength. Feel free to drop the knees straight away here if you wish. If it feels a little bit too intense, again, there's the option to take the pressure off. So whether you've got the knees down or knees lifted, take a breath. And then as we exhale, maybe we all lower the knees here, hug the elbows in and just softly lower belly and chest at the same time. Beautiful. Okay. And as we inhale, let's loop the shoulders back and down, and we find that little back bend again. So we might be really light on the fingertips. We might even see if we can take the hands completely away, finding a little bit of length through the spine. Or you might want to find that deeper back bend, so you might push the ground away. Lift the chest slightly higher, keep the shoulders down and away from the ears. Make sure our glutes are active, so squeezing the muscles in your bum. Take a breath. And then as we exhale from here, we're going to tuck the chin, tuck the toes, pull the ribs in. We send the hips straight up to the sky, downward facing dog. Beautiful, well done. Okay, take a breath in. And take a breath out. Beautiful, really well done. So again, pressing belly back to the thighs. We're not going to be here too long because I know it's quite strong for the shoulders. So let's take a breath. We're going to send that right leg up to the sky. Doesn't matter how high the right leg lifts, just send it up. As we exhale, right knee comes in towards the chest. Let's drive the weight forwards and see how softly we can land a right foot in between the hands. Carefully lowering left knee as you go. Beautiful. We can untuck those left toes. Beautiful. So let's take a moment just to arrive here. So you might kind of shuffle the weights forwards and back, wriggling in and out of that hip stretch. Okay. Take a breath. Take an exhale. And then from here, let's brush the fingertips along the mat, start to rise up into a little low lunge. Beautiful. So we want to make sure that right foot is flat down towards the mat. Sometimes we come into the lunge like so, and we've got the heel lifted. Let's keep the foot flat down as best as we can. So we've got that solid grounding underneath us. Thinking about tucking the tailbone under, so we don't necessarily need to worry about gliding the hips forwards and down and taking this more into a back bend. In fact, maybe the tuck of the tailbone is all we need to find that stretch. And then when you're ready, maybe fingertips reach up to the sky. If we feel a little bit wobbly here, no worries. Take a steady breath in and take a steady breath out. Beautiful. Now from here, feel free to stay as you are, or maybe we bring the palms, the hands together, bend through the elbows and bring your thumbs to the back of your neck. You may even be able to kind of take hold of your clothing here to lift the elbows up to the sky, squeeze the elbows together and lift up through the heart space. So slightly deeper stretch here, making sure that breath is still able to flow freely. Take an inhale. And take an exhale. Beautiful. Let's inhale, reach those fingertips straight on up to the sky. From here, your right hand is going to come down towards your right hip. Stretch up through the left fingertips a little bit more. And exhale, take a little lean to the right. So we add in a side bend in our low lunge. Take a breath. Take an exhale. Beautiful. Inhale, come back through the center. As you exhale, this left hand is going to reach down towards the ground to the inside of this right foot. Right arm is going to reach up to the sky. So we take a little twist here. Can we think about dropping the hips down slightly? Now, if the ground feels a little bit too far away, maybe that's where the block comes in handy, underneath the hand. So we lift the ground up towards us slightly. Okay. Take a breath. And take an exhale. Lovely stuff. Beautiful. Now from here, all you're going to do is change the arms over. So you're going to dive this right arm down towards the ground. Maybe that also comes to the block here. And we start to send left arm up to the sky. So we change the arm over. You might notice the back of the right arm pressing against the inside of the right knee. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. If you wanted a slightly deeper stretch, you might wriggle right toes that a little bit further forwards, glide the hips that a little bit further forwards and down. It is a deep stretch here. So take it easy if you wish. One more inhale. One more exhale. Beautiful. We're going to circle this left arm all the way back down towards the ground. Lovely, well done. Now you might want both blocks now, or something underneath both hands. Bring the ground up to you. So we've got both hands to the inside of the right knee. We're still letting the hips drop down towards the ground. So we've come into a little lizard lunge. We might straight away be feeling the stretch here within the hip space. So stay exactly as you are, maybe. Or you might want that a little bit more. So you might think about dropping down onto the elbows. Thinking about sending the heart down to the ground. If it feels a little bit too much, feel free to come back up. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Beautiful. Remember, your breath is your anchor here. One more breath in. And a breath out. Beautiful. From here, let's push the hands down into the blocks, rising back up. Keeping the hands to the inside of the right foot. We're going to lift out of the hips now. Whoo. We're going to start to lengthen that right leg. Maybe we can lift right toes up to the sky. So I'm going to lift up slightly here so you can see. So I'm lengthening my right leg, but it doesn't need to lengthen completely. So I'm still going to keep a little bend through this right knee, just to protect the ligaments at the back of the knee here. Then I've got my hands down to the ground or to some blocks on the inside of the right leg. And I'm also going to think about plugging my right hip back, left hip forwards. So if you think about sending your right hip towards the back of the mat, left hip towards the top of the mat, see what that does to the stretch here. Beautiful. So starting to tap into the hamstrings a little bit more, those muscles down the back of the leg. Okay. Let's go for one more inhale. And one more exhale. Beautiful. And then nice and easy, we're going to sink it back into that right knee. We can slide our blocks out to one side now. And let's come back into our tabletop. So we're going to slide this right foot all the way back next to left. You might want to have a little wriggle of hips from side to side. Shake it off a little bit. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And then from here, let's come back into that child's pose. So knees out slightly, big toes come together to touch. Melt hips back towards the heels, stretching the fingertips forwards. Let's just take one breath in. One breath out. Now as we inhale, we're going to rise up through that curved spine. So like we did at the beginning, we push the ground away, tuck the chin towards the chest, tuck the tailbone under. Start to shift the weight forwards. We slowly melt hips down towards the mat. We might soften through the elbows here, or we might rise up high into that back bend. Beautiful. Take a breath. And then as we exhale, we're going to tuck the chin, tuck the toes, pull the ribs in, and you're going to send the hips straight on up to the sky. Downward facing dog. Lovely, well done. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. We might notice right side feels a little bit different compared to the left. So let's have a little look on that left hand side as we inhale. Left leg shoots on up to the sky. Exhale, left knee comes in towards the chest. See if we can softly step that left foot forwards in between the hands. And we carefully lower, right knee down. Okay, have a little wriggle here before we think about rising up, making sure that left foot is flat down to the ground. So you might even want to wriggle those left toes a little bit further forward so we can get that secure foundation underneath us. Okay, steady breath in. Steady breath out. Beautiful. Let's brush the fingertips along the ground. Rise up into that low lunge. Okay. Tucking the tailbone under, keeping the heart lifted. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Beautiful, well done. So let's from here bring the palms to hands together. And then maybe release the thumbs towards the back of the neck. You might take hold of the back of your t-shirt or your clothing. Squeeze the elbows together, lift up through the heart space. You maybe even take a glance up to the sky here. Full breath in. Full breath out. Lovely, well done. Inhale, release the hands, reach them straight up to the sky. Left hand comes down towards your left hip. Reach up through the right fingertips. Exhale, take a little lean over to the left. Beautiful, well done. Take an inhale. Take an exhale. Inhale to come up through the center. And now we send this right hand down to the ground, to the inside of this left foot. Maybe we use one of our trusty blocks or whatever it is you decide to use today. And then we're going to take a twist. So we're going to roll left shoulder back. Maybe take that left arm up to the sky. Think about sinking the hips down towards the ground now. Beautiful. Deep stretch within the hip space. Take a breath. And take an exhale. Beautiful. Now again, all we do is change the arms over. So we're going to dive this left arm down to the inside of the left foot. Maybe it comes down to a block. And we start to roll the right shoulder back and take the right arm up to the sky. So again, you might feel the back of the left arm pressing into the inside of the left knee. See if you can find this nice long line from one arm to the other. Take a breath in. And take a breath out. Beautiful. And then from here, we're going to dive this right arm down. All the way back down to the inside of that left foot. Maybe again, we use our other block. And we come into this lizard lunge. So you've got both hands to the inside of the left knee, or left foot rather. Sinking the hips down. You've got that left knee slightly out to the side. Beautiful. So this may be enough for you. As you are, feel free to stay. Or we might drop down onto those elbows. Okay. Think about sinking the heart down towards the ground. Now, as we come into this place of deep stretch, notice where you might be gripping here. If we're down on the elbows, do we have this tendency to hold our hands super tight and clench through the fists? Can we let that go a little bit? Maybe even have a little wriggle through the fingertips, maybe. Take a steady breath in. Steady breath out. Lovely. Here we go. Let's push down through the hands. And we're going to rise back up. Okay. And then let's lift out of the hips. We're going to take that half split stretch. So sending the hips towards the back of the mat. Starting to lengthen through that left leg. And maybe we lift those left toes up to the sky. So it's a maybe. Doesn't mean we have to. You can walk the hands closer in if needs be. Beautiful. Now from here, we think about sending left hip towards the back, right hip towards the front. Beautiful. Notice what it does to the stretch. Take a breath in. And take a breath out. Let's go for one more. Inhale. And an exhale. Okay, let's sink it back into that left knee. Beautiful, left foot flat down to the earth. And then again, let's slide that left foot all the way back next to right. You can bring your blocks out to one side again here. Let's come back into that child's pose. So big toes together to touch. Hips go back towards your heels. Reach the fingertips forwards. Lovely, well done. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And as we inhale, we're going to rise up, curved spine, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. Slowly slinking it forwards, melt the hips down, rising up to that back bend. Deep breath in. And then as we exhale again, we tuck the chin, tuck the toes, pull the ribs in. We're going to send the hips high to the sky, back to our downward facing dog. Okay, we're nearly there. Have a little wiggle, little groove in your down dog. Take an inhale. Take an exhale. And then as we inhale, we're going to look forwards towards our fingertips, bend the knees, and maybe walk the feet about halfway down the mat. So feet walk towards the hands, hands come back towards the feet. So we come again into this forward fold around about the middle of our mat here. And again, we can have a little sway from side to side, shake the wrists off if you need to. Okay. Beautiful. From here, have a little bend through the knees. You're going to heel toe the feet about mat distance apart. So toes point out, heels in. And then we're going to sink the hips down. So bending the knees out to the side. We're going to come into our little Yogi Squats. Okay. So again, this might feel quite deep within the hips. So if you wanted to, you could stack your blocks on top of one another and create a little seat for your hips to come down on. So it takes a little bit of the stretch out of hips, takes a little bit of the pressure off. But if you were happy as you were, feel free to take the blocks out and be within that hip stretch, okay? You can keep the fingertips down to the ground for a little bit of support for your balance, or maybe palms to hands come together in front of the heart space. And it's just maybe going to be one more slow, steady breath in. Slow, steady breath out. Beautiful. Gently release the fingertips down to the ground. And then use your hands to help you to bring the sit bones all the way down towards the mat. Beautiful. And then we can place our blocks to one side if you're using them. Lean into the hands. Just have a little sway of the knees from side to side. So going one way, then the other. Okay. Beautiful. We're nearly at that sweet Shavasana. Making our way there. Okay. One final little stretch before we go. So let's bring the knees to point back up to the sky. You're going to wrap the arms underneath your thighs. This is one of my favorite stretches to finish on. So take a breath in, grow tall through the spine. And as you exhale, really squishing the belly up against your thighs. Let's roll through the spine. So maybe the forehead comes down towards the knees. Almost like we're giving ourselves this little hug here. You can stay exactly as you are. Or maybe we start to wriggle those toes a little bit further forward, sliding the feet away, coming into a slightly deeper forward fold. Maybe we lift the toes up to the sky, Beautiful, well done. But we've still got the arms wrapped underneath the legs. We're still squishing our belly up against our thighs. Okay. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Let's take a couple more here. Imagine with every exhale we dive that little bit further into the fold. One more. Okay. And then on our next inhale, we can slowly unravel or unwrap the arms from underneath the legs. Gently roll up through the spine. So you perhaps have the legs fully extended now. Have a little wriggle through those toes, similar to what we did at the beginning. And then in your own time, you can make your way down to lying flat on your back. Okay. Now, as you land here, there may be a couple of changes we want to make. So we may prefer to walk the feet in, have the knees bent. So you might let the knees kind of knock together, feet separated about mat distance apart. This feels like a great place for the spine, so you might feel the entirety of your spine meeting the mat here. Okay. So whether you've got the knees bent or the legs extended, see if we can land as softly as we can onto our backs now. So we've worked through a little bit of movement, a little bit of breath work, some deep stretches here and there maybe. So now's the time where we just get to simply be. And again, there's no need to shape the breath to be anything but in particular. There's no need to be a certain way here. However you've landed here is exactly where you need to be. So close the eyes if that feels okay. And if that monkey mind starts to get a little bit louder again, come back to your anchor, that inner rhythm, that steady beat. And feel as though we can allow ourselves to drift slightly here. Drifting, knowing that we are still rooted, we are still held here. Got the support of the mat, the support of the earth beneath you, but also this potential of the sky above. slow, steady, deep breath in. And perhaps softly sigh out through the mouth. And again, deep breath in. Deep breath out. And the final time, deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Start to gently wriggle through fingertips and toes. Perhaps rotating the wrists and the ankles. And you might instinctively want to take that nice big stretch along the mat, so reach the arms up and above behind you, stretching the legs out in front. And then when you feel ready, simply choose a side, left or right. Let's roll onto that one side. Using your hands to help you as we rise all the way up, finding that comfortable seat. Beautiful. There's no need to rush to get here. Take your time. Beautiful. Okay, so rising up when you're ready. Let's bring the palms to hands just to land upon the knees again. Slide those shoulders down and away from the ears, coming back to a very similar place to where we started. I'm going to close the eyes and seal our practice, as always, with the final blessing. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you at night. May the rain wash away your worries, and may the breeze blow new strength throughout your being. And may you walk through the world knowing its beauty all the days of your life. And with that, the palms to hands come together in front of the heart, and we bow. Thank you so much, YouTube yogis, for joining me for that beginner-friendly flow. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you found places of deep stretch, or maybe it was just nice to move your bodies a little bit. So I hope you go on to have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll be back soon with another free practice for you. I hope to see you then. Mwah. Bye. Hey Yogi, thank you so much for practicing with me. I really hope you enjoyed your practice. Just thought I'd sneak in at the end here and say, if you are wanting to practice a little bit more, if you perhaps want to dive a little bit deeper into the beautiful world of yoga, then the great news is that I'm offering one-to-ones online. So you can join me from the comfort of your home, me from mine, and we can get together either live online, or I'll pre-record some classes just for you. And the beauty of those practices is that they are tailored to what you desire. So if you're just wanting to learn a little bit more about yoga, if you're a beginner and you're not quite sure what's what and you want to get a deeper understanding of anatomy or how the body kind of moves around on the mat, or maybe you're just wanting to try slightly different practices, if you're wanting to try yin yoga, for example. Or maybe we're kind of building up the confidence to maybe return to the studio in person and we're not quite got that confidence just yet. So if any of those speak to you, or maybe it's something else entirely, do feel free to reach out to me. You can either check me out on Instagram, send me a message over there, or just send me an email, and I would love to practice with you. Whatever it is, I'd love to tailor the practice to suit you, suit your individual needs, and we can go on this little journey together. So as I say, all the details are below if you want to have a chat, and I hope to hear from you very soon. All right, lots of love. Mwah.